Hey, what's going on, guys? How is everybody doing? So we finally had the 1.2 update stream. A lot of things that were initially leaks or rumors have been confirmed. Some of the stuff we don't have full details on, but I do think that now that things are officially confirmed to be in the game, that we can go ahead and talk about them and speculate on how they're going to impact the future of Genshin Impact. So today, we're going to be talking about the weapons that have been confirmed, and these are super exciting. I'm liking a lot of what I see here. Now keep in mind that while the weapons themselves have been confirmed to come into the game, the stats, all the ascension materials, what items you're going to need to level these up and ascend them, those are not confirmed. So take those with a big old grain of salt. These are just kind of what's rumored to be coming out. So don't go ahead and base any decisions off these yet. Wait until the official word is out. But we do know that they're coming to the game, and so we can kind of speculate, you know, who they're going to be best on and how we're going to be able to best implement them. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look. We're going to go kind of from my least favorite up to my most favorite, and we'll talk about kind of who they're best on and how I could see them affecting craftable weapons coming in the future. All right, so first up, we're going to talk about the catalyst, and that is Frostbearer. Of note, the first three weapons here on this chart all have the same ability. Their substats do change. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this ability could be, assuming it stays the same as the rumors that we currently have. So it reads, hitting an enemy with a normal and charge attack has a 60% at base chance of forming and dropping an Everfrost icicle above them, dealing 80% AoE attack damage. Can only occur once every 10 seconds. Enemies affected by cryo are dealt 200% attack damage, can only occur once every 10 seconds. So basically every 10 seconds you are dealing 280% attack damage. 80 of it is cryo damage, 200 of it is regular attack damage. I think this effect is pretty good, especially when you take into consideration what the other catalysts are that you can craft. Of note, this is a craftable weapon, supposedly. I do think that this becomes the best craftable catalyst as far as damage dealing heroes or support units that you're looking to deal more damage with as opposed to other elements. So specifically, I think that this is going to be best for a Ningguang, Mona, or Klee, as opposed to Mappa Mare or Prototype Malice. I do still think Mappa Mare might be best on Lisa, and definitely best on Sucrose, because Sucrose does want Elemental Mastery. Lisa, I'm not so sure yet. Honestly, I don't really know where Lisa fits. But I do think that Prototype Malice remains the best on Barbara, just because you need HP scaling with Barbara. But yeah, for those other heroes, Ningguang, Mona, Klee, I think this is going to be your new best in slot craftable weapon, okay? When we're talking about best in slot, I'm specifically talking about the craftable weapons, because I do think overall the craftable weapons are most likely going to be the best in slot for free-to-play players as 4-star weapons. But we'll get more into that with each other weapon. But this one's okay. You know, I'm honestly not like super excited about this one. I'm more excited about the last two, really. Next up, we got the Dragonspine Spear. Now, I'm not sure exactly where this is going to fall in, right? Because we have the same ability that we had on the Catalyst. We have physical damage on this weapon, which basically means that it's going to be competing for a slot with Crescent Pike. This one I think is going to take a little bit of testing to see which one actually will do more damage. Now, both of these polearms are built specifically for carries. They're not built for supports, because your supports are not going to be there to do damage with their basic attack. So if you're building for physical damage, you're going to be building for a carry. Now, this is a little bit easier to look at because we currently only have 2 polearm users in the game, but we're soon to get quite a bit more based on rumors. So this is going to take a little bit of testing, because polearm users are multi-hit units, right? Each one of their hits can deal multiple hits, which means that with Crescent Pike, it's going to scale differently, because it's, you know, dealing like 4 attack bonuses for every 1 hit in some cases. So I think it'll be interesting to see. In terms of reactions, you know, it's not like a big deal to have this cryo reaction for Zhongling, and it's definitely not important to have the cryo reaction for Zhongli. So I have a feeling that Crescent Pike will end up being better. However, the big difference here is between the actual main and substats. So the base attack here is, you know, supposedly going up to 454 at max and 69% physical damage. Now that's the really big number, because when we look at Crescent Pike, its max base attack is 565, which is more than the Dragonspine Spear. But the physical damage maxes out at 34.5. So if you know how all the damage calculations work, it is really beneficial to have more altering stats like elemental damage or physical damage. So that's a really big boost. So I will be interested to see whether that like 30, it's a little bit over 30% boost, will make a big difference over losing that base attack. We will see. But overall, not a bad spear. The next one we're going to talk about here is Festering Desire. This one has me excited. First of all, you're going to get this weapon for absolutely free. It is going to come to you through either the story or there's an event for it, but the point is you're going to get it for free. Unfortunately, this weapon is not craftable, so it looks like we're only going to be getting one copy of this weapon. However, it looks pretty exciting. Best comparisons for this one are obviously going to be the Favonius Sword and Sacrificial Sword, because those are the other 4-star energy recharge weapons. I think that overall, this is going to be in the middle of both those. I think Sacrificial Sword will remain the top dog when it comes to the energy recharge swords. As long as we're only talking about 4 stars, I think that the 5-star energy recharge sword is better than those. On certain characters. It depends on what character you're using them on. But I do think that this is better than the Favonius Sword. You are losing out on a lot of energy recharge by going with this over the Sacrificial Sword. Sacrificial Sword can max out at 61.3%. But I think that this weapon is going to be better on heroes that you're looking to deal more damage with, but also already have a very short cooldown. So as I was looking through the sword users, the ones that come to mind are Bennett, Jean, and Kaya. They all have a really short cooldown on their E. And the upside of getting, more particles from crits on the Favonius Sword, I don't think are as good as the increase in damage and crit rate. So, we'll see. I think Kaya may actually be on the bottom of those 3, but I think the sword will be best on a Bennett or Jean. The other important thing to note about this weapon is in the 1.2 update video, they specifically said that during the event, you're going to be able to unlock future abilities for the sword. Now, I had at first assumed that that just meant future ascension. So basically, you'll be able to ascend this weapon through doing the events. However, they also said specifically in a separate statement that you'll be able to ascend this weapon with resources that you can get through the event. So I'm wondering if they actually meant those two were the same thing, or if they were in fact 2 separate statements and you'll be able to add like other abilities onto the sword. I have a feeling that the latter is not the case. I think it's probably just the same statement. They just said it twice, a little bit separate from each other, but that will be super interesting to see. And if that is the case, that could make this weapon real good. And now we come to my favorite weapon. As I was looking at this more, I don't actually think this is the best of the 4. I think it will probably still end up being Festering Desire, but I do think the sword is real good. And by sword, I should be saying Claymore, not to confuse you guys. I apologize if that was a little bit confusing at all. The reason I was so excited for the sword, because if you've been watching this channel for any length of time, you know that Razor is my main. This Claymore, for free-to-play players who don't have access to a Wolf's Gravestone, I give you Snow-Toned Starsilver. Merry Christmas, because holy crap, this weapon is good. First of all, it is the only 4-star weapon that has physical damage. The only other Claymore in the game is the Skyrider Greatsword. It's a 3-star weapon, and this weapon is just going to do far more damage. The fact that all the substats, or all the passives, I should say, of this weapon are dealing cryo damage means that Razor is a superconduct one-man army on a stick. This weapon is incredible for Razor. Razor is easily the best character that this Claymore is good for. The other characters that this is potentially good with are Diluc, Noelle, and Jinyan, but that statement does come with caveats. Diluc most of all, because most of the time you're going to be building Diluc as a pyro elemental character versus a physical character. So I don't actually think that this will be that good on him. The only real benefit here is because it can deal cryo damage to your enemies, he can get melt triggers off himself. But overall, I don't really think that's going to pick up the slack of having physical damage as a substat. I still think in that case, if you're looking at craftable weapons, the Prototype Animus will be the better Claymore for him. In terms of Xinyan, it kind of depends on how you're building her. I think that if you're building her as your carry, this will be the best in slot for her. And as far as Noelle goes, I have a feeling that White Blind is still going to be the best craftable weapon for her, especially because the way it scales with her burst. Although I will be interested to see if this is overall better. I have a feeling that it's not, though, because her burst is where most of her damage is coming from, and that deals geo damage. So you will be losing out that benefit on her burst. So probably not the best there. And then on Chongyun and Beidou, I just don't think that this Claymore is going to be very good. Chongyun's skill turns all his normal attacks and everyone else's into cryo damage, so you're completely losing the bonus of the physical damage, and he's already dealing cryo damage, so the ability doesn't really matter. And for Beidou, you're probably going to be building her more for elemental damage or for elemental mastery. So in that case, your prototype Amnis is probably still going to be better because it's going to raise your attack, which is going to affect your elemental damage versus the physical damage on this weapon, where it's not going to affect your elemental damage at all. This is easily best for Razor. I have a feeling that this is going to take over prototype Amnis as the best free-to-play weapon for Razor. So because of that, because Razor's my main boy, you know, I got really excited when I saw this, but then when I looked at the other heroes, it's like, you know what, it might not be actually as good as I initially thought, but that doesn't still mean that I can't be excited for it. So overall, I am really excited for a lot of these weapons. I do think that some of them are going to be replacing other weapons for free-to-play players as best in slot. Of course, if you're wailing out, the 5-star weapons usually are going to be better. However, what really excites me here is I hope that they start introducing more weapons like this into the game. The problem that I've been having with new weapons is they're always introduced on a weapon banner, and for every time you're introducing weapon banner, you're introducing a new character banner, and most players are going to wish on the character banner before they do the weapon banner. And for people that are mega whales, sure, they're probably going to roll on the weapon banner and they're going to have the fun new weapons. But for the players who are saving all their primo gems, or God forbid, they're saving their own money and rolling on one specific hero that they want, they're probably not going to have enough to go ahead and roll on that weapon banner. So it's been a real pain that all the new weapons are kind of locked behind a paywall. So the fact that they're introducing them in different ways, like these specifically being craftable weapons, one being an event weapon, I think that's a really good idea. I hope they continue doing it, and I hope they give us, you know, better access to new weapons. The only caveat here is that they are craftable weapons, and I absolutely hate the crafting system because I think the drop rate on prototypes is abysmal, especially if you need a certain one. It's ridiculously low. Since the beginning of the game, I have only gotten 2 prototypes, and yeah, so luckily I was able to get a Claymore. I was thinking of building the White Blind for Noelle, but nope, we're holding out because I'm going to want to test with that Starsilver. But yeah, I do hope that they continue doing this because it is a great way to get new weapons into the game, especially for those who don't want to be locked behind a paywall. But guys, that's all I got for today. Hopefully you did enjoy. If you want to see some more content from me, you can head over to my Twitch page, twitch.tv/xjazze, or you can support us right here on YouTube. Click that red subscribe button, like the video if you liked it, and click that notification bell. That way you never miss a video. But guys, that's all I got for today. Hopefully you did enjoy, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.